Hey you all, it's your girl Sydney Sizzle Sid the Kid. I'm coming back to you all again with another video. Y'all, I'm so inconsistent. I'm so sorry, but we are here. Today's video, shoot, this stand, y'all, really just blows me every time. Yeah, so today's video is just a quick recap of the last 22 weeks of my bodybuilding prep and competition and like what's the need to know. So I'm gonna start with how I'm feeling right now, and then I'm just gonna kind of like go back in time over, I think it's like the last 5 to 6 months. So right now I am currently reverse dieting, and y'all, it is the most uncomfortable feeling in the world. Like, you can't drink a lot of water because your body just doesn't know how to process it. Within the last week or week and a half leading up to my show, like, you were only able to drink like a gallon of water or less. But you weren't just drinking like regular water, you were drinking like distilled, purified water, but then you were also sweating out so much of that fluid that you were putting into your body. So I think it was just like my skin got so tight, and now that I'm introducing liquid back into my system, carbs back into my system, like, it just doesn't know how to like really process that and break it down. So now that my pores are literally this tight, it's like the water is expanding those pores, and it's causing my thighs especially to kind of blow up. Not too bad because I have been like following the protocol of drinking less than a gallon. So I'll probably have like 3 water bottles a day, if that. I start the day off with some tea as well to get my digestion going, but like, or digestive system, whatever, to get my system going. But yes, it's been a very uncomfortable transition. Like, my thighs are so sore, it doesn't make any sense to me, y'all. And I haven't been wilding out with my sweets. Like, I did have 4 packs of trail mix, but I had 1 pack every day. Outside of that, like, I haven't been like eating cookies, I haven't been eating chips. Like, I've pretty much stayed within my initial diet from maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks prior to the show. And y'all, like, so the team that I'm on, it's called Swole's team. I think that's what it's called. Swole's team by Paulie Swoles. That's not his last name. I don't know what his last name is. It's like, it might be something Italian. He has this like hell week that you go through leading up to the show, and for 4 days every meal has a half of a green apple and 1 source of protein. It is the most pathetic, pitiful looking plate of food you could ever even imagine. Like, literally egg whites with green apples, salmon with green apples, cod with green apples. Like, it just, to maintain that diet post show, like, you literally would have to be insane. And it's so crazy because people literally go back to back with their shows, and I think they only give themselves maybe like 2 to 3 weeks, which is reasonable, to reverse diet and then literally prep for your next show. But realistically, you only have 1 week to reverse diet and then 2 weeks to prep for the next show, and that's still maintaining 2 hours of cardio daily, plus your workouts, plus literally running on no carbs. So realistically, for me, like, for those of you asking, okay, are you gonna do this again? You know, my mom was like, you came, you saw, you conquered. And I was like, you know, you might be onto something, because realistically, for someone my height, I'm 5'2", I came in, I started prep at like 123, 122. And the day of my show, I was at like 112, 113. To compete on a national level or even regionally against people my height class in bikini, you have to be like paper thin, y'all. Like you have to starve yourself and be like 105 or less, and I just don't think that's realistic for me. I've been an athlete my whole life, and I ran track, I played soccer, so I'm already built. And a lot of my teammates, not even a lot, but like a few of them suggested that I consider wellness. And so the way bodybuilding for women is set up, or NPC, which is the National Physique Association, or no, NPC, whoa, that's NPA. NPC is National Physique Committee. It goes by muscularity. So the first one is bikini, then you have wellness, then you have like figure, I don't know if there's physique, but then there's fitness. So fitness is more like, I would say for like that trainer, that's like a trainer between like regular strength conditioning and CrossFit. Like you're really showing off, like, okay, yes, the muscle definition in your back, but like the handstands that you can do, and like the the back flips you can do. So it's very interesting to see the different components to being in bodybuilding. But I think for me personally, if I ever were to compete again, I would probably do wellness. But not only do you have to increase the amount of carbs that you have to take in to grow your muscles and your foundation, you also literally just have to grow your quads, your glutes, and you could potentially go from, like, for me, I'm a size 3 or 5. I would go from a size 5 to probably a size 7 or 9, just because my thighs would be getting so thick, but my waist is still pretty small. So I think there's just so many different components to being in bodybuilding that you have to take into consideration, and you have to like really think, like, is this the commitment that I want to make? Because not only is it a commitment to your body, but it's a commitment to your finances in that pocketbook. I mean, literally the last month of bodybuilding for me, it was like $500 in total that I spent at the grocery store. Now, I understand that some people, like, you know, $500 is what you're gonna spend regardless. Like, if you go out to, no, you don't spend $500 regardless. You don't. You just don't. Like, that's absurd. I understand going to the grocery store once a week, that's about like $50, $60. So in total, maybe it might be $300 you're spending at the grocery store. And then, like, say you go out to eat maybe once or twice a week. I might be making these numbers up. I mean, that's maybe like what I envisioned in my head for my own personal spending, because before I lived on my own, I was living at home doing this bodybuilding stuff. So like, I didn't really have to take too much into consideration when it came to my expenses. And I was with a different coach as well. So my diet, it was only like 3 meals that I was focused on. Whereas with this coach, you have to eat 6 times a day, roughly. So like 5 to 6 times a day. And then the supplements as well. Like, it's just extremely taxing. And I think there's so many ways that you can achieve the look that you're going for, the package that you're trying to bring to the judges. But another thing too is that with bodybuilding, like, everybody looks great the day of the show, and it really depends on who that judge is. So I strongly recommend that if one of the judges is like a posing coach or does some type of additional training sessions, I would say like maybe tap into that, because you can build rapport with them. And if they can see your progression from where you started to where you are now, they might be more likely to give you a leg up or like throw you additional points per se, in comparison to the next person if they already have a relationship with you. So it can be like very political, but I feel like every sport, everything that involves people and somehow someone is judging you or somebody is facilitating the competition, there's always gonna be like a he said, she said, I like you over her, we have a relationship, that's just how it is. Another thing that I really recommend is that you have to get on a team, y'all. Like you can do the solo training and solo prep by yourself, but I really think it makes a difference when, if you're a first-time competitor, when you are literally going through this process with people that are a little bit more established within this space, but then also people that have never done it as well, because not only do you have that emotional support, but then you're also getting the guidance to understand like, okay, these foods are making me bloated, like what do y'all recommend? What other sauces or dressings do you all recommend that are like 0 calories, 5 calories, low in sugar? So y'all, I mean, like I said, I was a trainer, I still am a trainer. That's not my sole profession anymore, but this lifestyle is definitely a commitment. Even now that I'm reversing out of my competition, I'm like, okay, my body, I don't like feeling like this. So to commit to another show and reverse diet again, I'm not sure if that's something that I want to experience. But I think that if you have the opportunity to financially and mentally support this endeavor, then I would strongly recommend that you give it a try. Just to say that you did it one time, I think that's probably like the most of what I want to do. Because again, like once you get into fitness, like there's just some things that you want to say that you've done and that you've accomplished. And I think for me, this is definitely one of them, especially like once I have kids, you know, they can be like, oh my gosh, my mom was such a badass, she did X, Y, and Z. And just leaving a legacy, like my dad told me, you know, I think the most important thing to do is find what makes you happy and just trailblaze, you know, set a path for yourself, and always be willing to try something new. I think that's one thing that I really learned from this experience. And then just never getting deterred when you see other people succeed, because either A, this space was not really meant for you, it was meant for you to just get a taste of it, or B, you need to go 10 times harder, whether that's with your cardio, whether that's with staying in your diet. There's just so many different components to bodybuilding, like I said, and I think each time that you prep, each time that you compete, you probably are gonna learn something new. Like for myself, I realized like, yes, I leaned down, but at the same time, either I needed to cut out my cheat meals a lot earlier, I needed to cut carbs a lot sooner, I needed to increase my cardio, which I found out very late that that was the case. I think you definitely have to just constantly advocate for yourself and always be asking questions, because if you don't, like, you're going to get the short end of the stick. You're gonna be like, oh well, I wish I would have known this. Kind of like me, I'm like, oh, I wish I would have known that I was supposed to increase my cardio from 40 minutes to an hour for both sessions. Like, there's just so many little things that you don't necessarily know the first time, and then as you continue to do it, you just become more knowledgeable and gain that wisdom. But overall, I think it was a great experience. There's a lot of things that I did experience within my 6 months of prep, but nonetheless, I think that it made me mentally stronger. And now I just know how to, of course, diet and what that looks like for myself. But more importantly, just having that like mental aptitude to like really stick it out and achieve whatever it is that I have set for myself. So I hope that this video was insightful, that it gave you some clarity of what bodybuilding might look like for you if you decide to get started, I suppose. And make sure that before you actually start training for a bodybuilding competition, you diet before you commit to the date. Like, I don't know if you need a month or 2 months to just get your mind right, but you don't want to go in saying like, I'm gonna do this, and you're not prepared. So definitely prepare yourself for what's to come before you start your actual prep. Yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to y'all later, shall we?